Hello.
Then, now,
Countdown to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello, welcome to episode number, I think it's 184 of the TEW IX Challenge Run. We're here for July the 18th, 2025. We're slowly but surely chugging along on our road to Evolution and King of the Ring. Obviously, recently I've been hit by massive FOMO of not being up to date because, you guys deserve a good road to WrestleMania to watch, but I'm still months away. But, yes. We're going to continue the King Queen of the Ring tournaments tonight with... It's Randy Orton, Montez Ford, and Swerve and Andrade, and the King of the Ring, and the Queen of the Ring. It's Jacy Jayne against Shayna Baszler and Jordan Grace against Kelani Jordan. There's also an Usos versus Lucha Bros tag team title match. And I can't remember what else we announced. Oh, Kit Wilson and Delton Prince are Pretty Deadly against Chase Hughes, Keith Lee, and Andre Chase to end their rivalry, their battle of one-upsmanship they've had recently. And of course, we're going to follow up from the events of last week where our new head of the women's division, our new women's world champion, has some things to say to kick off the night. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We start the ring. Candice LeRae's in the ring. And she goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, last week was even better than I ever could have imagined. Because last week was my celebration, what Johnny said I called it. But I really managed to prove to the world that I'm always a step ahead of those who think it's their job to stop me. The same people who ruled this division with an iron fist, who now think that I'm in the wrong, coming to take it from me. That's not how it works. Okay, this is my championship. It will stay my championship for as long as I please. And Kairi had the chance to change ways and become a part of the right side of history, but she chose not to do that. She chose to stand by the woman who stabbed her in the back 2 years ago. She chose to stand by the woman who threw her under the bus. For what? Well, it's fine. Because I don't need Kairi. I can pick and I can choose who in my division is the Liberty Champion. I did just that last week. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your new Women's Liberty Champion, Ember Moon. Out comes Ember. And she gets into the ring. She goes, "Couple of weeks ago, I saw firsthand what happens when you don't toe the company line. I got a bit frustrated after I didn't win the Battle Royal, and I put my hands on some officials, which is something you're not supposed to do. I can accept that. But I was then suspended indefinitely, while you've got crazed maniacs breaking into Candice's house and traumatizing her children. I got suspended for putting my hands on a referee. And I would have stayed suspended if Candice hadn't, seen the injustice firsthand, because that is what she does best. She spots injustice. Now that I'm back here, I plan on doing things my way by myself. But Candice, I do owe it to you for fixing the injustice that I was facing. And hopefully sooner rather than later, the entire division, the entire locker room realizes what you realize." And Candice just smiles and goes, "That's great, Ember. Here's my first order of business as your Women's World Champion. To anoint you the official Women's Liberty Champion. So that we can have a champion to be proud of here on SmackDown, not Kairi. We can put an end to Kairi's reign for good. and acknowledge you as the real Women's Liberty Champion. That's when Adam Pearce goes, no, stop this right now. Candice, you've been a pain in my ass for far too long, but unfortunately you're now the Women's World Champion, so there's not really too much I can do about it. However, for you to come in here and brag about Ember Moon being the Liberty Champion, she's not the Liberty Champion. Kairi Sane is the Women's Liberty Champion. And she's going to be here tonight, and she's going to want her title back. And Candice goes, great. Well, here's the catch, okay? Here's the little deal you can make with Kairi, since she's all about turning my deals down normally, so I don't expect this to end well. Tonight, in our main event, Kairi defends the Women's Liberty Championship against Ember Moon. And when Ember wins, there'll be no doubt about it who is the real Liberty Champion. And Adam Pearce goes, I'm sure Kairi would be down to get her hands on Ember after what happened last week. I'll see to it. So there's our main event, Liberty Championship on the line, Kairi Sane versus Ember Moon. Wow, hot start. I say only got 70 because Ember's not super over. They cut backstage, and we see Big E, and he walks up to Kofi. He goes, Kof, it's high time I met you like this again, you know. It's been a number of weeks, and we meet like this in all the time, and I'm getting sick of it, quite frankly. The fact that Woods is running around the way he's running around, and what he said and did to you last week, the disrespect he showed you. You're Kofi Kingston. You're a Hall of Famer. He don't get off on talking to you like that. And Kofi goes, E, listen, you know, I get it. Myself and Woods, we're both frustrated with each other recently. We said a lot of things we didn't mean last week, and I'm just going to let it go. It's fine. He goes, let it go, Kof! No. Here's the thing. I believe you. You're a good man, Kof. I believe you that you didn't mean half of the things you said to Woods last week, but Woods... He meant all of that. Woods, he's been different recently. He ain't been our same brother that we had for the past 10 years. And it's getting to a point where I've got to step in and do something about it. And then Big E storms off and goes, E, what do you mean by that? So yeah, Big E, fucking sick of the way Xavier Woods has been treating people. Says he's going to do something about it tonight. 77 rated match. Sure, Montez Ford was working through an injury, which hampered the match a bit. That's fine, but the creative finish was a success, so that's all we really need. Montez Ford, Randy Orton, they have their match. And Tez, he starts getting into it. He starts feeling himself. He hits the big enziguri, you know, he gets all fired up. He starts shaking the ropes. Randy Orton's down in the center of the ring. He goes across the ring. He goes to the top turnbuckle. He nails. He flies off for that big Montez Ford frog splash from halfway across the ring. And well, you know who he's wrestling, so you know what happens to him after that. Randy Orton catches Montez Ford with the RKO out of nowhere off the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. And Randall Keefe advances to the next round of King of the Ring. 77 for Tez, 75 for Randy. And yeah, the winner of this will face either Swerve or Andrade next week in the SmackDown semi-final of King of the Ring. And that will be the penultimate match tonight. So yeah. Randy Orton, big RKO out of nowhere on Montez Ford. And that ends Montez Ford's King of the Ring dreams for now. We then see Cammy backstage. She's with Yoko. Only Yoko. And Utami walks in and like Cammy sat there on a chair. Yoko stood behind her. There's a chair opposite Cammy. She goes, sit. And Utami still just looks disgusted and goes, the fuck is this? She goes, listen. I don't need you to get angry at me. I just need you to listen. Yoko, she's sort of worried about you, and Utami just sort of just groans. She goes, no, it's because at Money in the Bank, you know, you went into business for yourself, and you had your own reasons to doing that, and I disagree with them, but, you know, you're the queen here, so we just need to check, you know, you've got Evolution coming up, you and Sire against Roxy and Cora. We need to make sure that this group, Queendom, is all on the same page. And Yoko, obviously being Julia's friend, feels like there's a bit of a rift here between us. So we have to try and iron this out. And Tommy just sort of just looks up at Yoko. Yoko looks down at you, Tommy. Tommy goes, I only did what she was going to do. I beat her to it. I'm not apologizing for that. And she just gets up and walks out. And Tommy goes, well, fucking hell, I guess. We then cut backstage to Adam Pearce in his office. Johnny Gargano goes, Pearce, you're never going to believe what happened last week. He goes, good afternoon to you too, Johnny. How can I help you? He goes, first of all, Pearce, last week you did a terrible job banning Javon Evans from the building because he showed up on Velocity. Okay? And, second of all, apparently Javon Evans is now next in line for a shot at my Cruiserweight Championship. And he goes, that is correct. He goes, and RJ told me I had to come and see you about that. He goes, that is also correct. Because, Johnny, here's a little bit of some things I need to go over with you. First of all, you're right. Javon Evans, I couldn't ban him from the arena last week because he's not a contracted talent to SmackDown. But me and Javon have had some discussions. And he goes, please don't tell me you're signing that kid to SmackDown. He goes, no. Javon Evans will remain Velocity's superstar for the time being. But it does concern SmackDown because next week I've invited Javon to SmackDown. He goes, what? Why are you doing that, Pearce? And he goes, and he's going to be in action. He's going to be teaming with a tag team partner against you and a tag team partner if you can find one. And he goes, that's fine. Okay, I've got loads of friends, okay? He goes, and also, Javon said that he wanted to come and wrestle on SmackDown because every time he wrestles on Velocity, those Dark State guys get involved. Johnny goes, yeah, I've seen. He goes, so, if Javon was to wrestle on Velocity for his Cruiserweight Championship, there's always going to be a risk that Dark State show up and score him out of it, correct? Johnny goes, I'd beat him anyway, but yeah. He goes, so, it is now official that you will defend the Cruiserweight Championship against Javon Evans. And you will do it in Seoul, South Korea, at King of the Ring. He goes, King of the Ring? You're giving this kid a PLE match for the championship against me? Pearce, we don't like you. Pearce, we're gonna sort this case. Candace keeps talking about corruption, and I see it with my own eyes now. Pearce goes, well, maybe if you didn't make my life hell, maybe I'd be a little bit nicer to you. Johnny goes, this isn't over. This isn't over. And then Pearce gets his fist. He goes, if you keep threatening me, it will. $72. Good little match. We'll take that. Jordan Grace, Kelani Jordan are in action in the King and Queen of the Ring. Not in the King of the Ring. In the Queen of the Ring tournament. Jordan Grace wins with the fall from Grace in 11:33. 74 for Jordan. 55 for Kelani Jordan. And I believe that Jordan's victory will put her against the Megasis next week. I believe so. Yeah, because it's... No. Is it Nova against the Megasis, or is it Jordan against... Oh, it will be on the screen, you can tell. I believe it's Jordan against the Megasis, actually. Yes. And then Nova against the winner of Shayna and Gacy. But yes, Jordan Grace does advance into the next round. We then cut back to Kayla Braxton. And she goes, ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time, the Women's World Champion, Candice LeRae. And Candice walks in. She goes, Candice, we just heard earlier on tonight, the main event tonight will be the Liberty Championship on the line. Kairi Sane against Ember Moon, a match orchestrated by you. So first of all, I've got a... Don't look at me like that. I've got a couple of questions that the fans want answered for you, Candice. Because first of all, why is it that you're involved in Ember Moon's business? What is the relationship between you and Ember Moon? And Candice goes, there is no relationship between me and Ember Moon. What Ember Moon is smart. What Ember Moon is intelligent. What she is aspiring for greatness. What she's not is a stupid fool who continues to defy me like I don't run things around here now. And I've made it perfectly clear To run a perfect division, some people need to be dealt with. It's a harsh reality. And people are going to call me the bad guy for saying it. But we didn't do it last time, and look how that ended up. So we're going to do it now. And Ember, you're either with me or you're against me. And she's... Not to steal a quote from the Nexus or anything, but she sees me for what I am. The real leader of this division. Somebody who needs to hold this because they are the rightful liberator of this division. Somebody who needs to hold this because every single other person who's held this since I have has been in it for themselves, trying to make this division be something it shouldn't be. I have this division's greatest interests at heart. That's why it needs to be me at the top of it, Kayla. And that's why if there's going to be people threatening me, I'll reach out to whoever I can to deal with them. Got any more questions, Kayla? She goes, yeah, just one more. This isn't coming from me, this is coming from other people who are saying that maybe, you've been going a bit too far recently, and that you're actually no better off than the women that you've been taking out. And Candice just looks in disgust at Kayla and goes, you're supposed to be an unbiased journalist, Miss Braxton. And these are the questions you're asking me? I'm not taking an interview with you ever again. If you're going to ask me stupid questions, awful questions like that, you don't even get an answer from me because you don't deserve one. Even Adam Pearce is telling his interviewers to, discredit his women's world champion. And I've had enough of it. Goodbye, Kayla. She just walks off. Kayla goes, well, I tried, guys. We then cut to the ring. Big E storms to the ring. No music or anything. Just comes to the ring, he grabs the microphone. And he goes, Woods! Ever since WrestleMania, you've been different, man. This ain't the same New Day that we had for the past decade. This ain't the same New Day who brought the power of positivity to everybody. This ain't the same New Day these people sang and chanted New Day rocks for. You're a different man, Woods. And I saw how you treated Kof last week. The same Kof who, before he even joined the New Day, had a Hall of Fame career here in WWE. The same Kof who, quite frankly, saved our asses from getting fired 10 years ago. And you disrespect that man like you did last week? All for what? Because some bastard told you to act a little bit different? Nah, Woods, you're gonna get your ass out here right now, and we're gonna deal with this man to man, brother to brother. Woods comes out. He goes, E, you got my number. You've had all week to talk to me. But you choose to do it now? Now, on SmackDown? In front of the world, in front of the people watching on TV? You want to air dirty laundry in front of the world instead of sorting this out in private like it needed to be dealt with? And Biggie goes, well, you were dumping on Kof live on SmackDown last week. I hate seeing anyone do my brother like that, even if it is my other brother, Woods. But right now, I know which brother I love more. And Woods just struggles. He goes, is that so, E? Then why don't you leave? If that's true, E, you don't love being with me or by my side and being in the New Day anymore, you don't like the direction the New Day's going, why don't you go away forever? Because you know what, E? I'd never said anything about this on television because I respect you. I respect our friendship and our privacy. But let's tell the world, shall we? Let's let the world know the Big E is working through some problems. Let's let the world know the Big E's neck isn't holding up the way it used to. Let's let the world know that Big E, he can't quite be the Big E that he used to be. Let's let the world know that Big E may be months away from retirement. And Big E looks so sad, and he goes, Woods, I told you that. And, I was gonna not bring it up. That's why I wanted this last New Day run to be special. You know, us to be the New Day that we were for so long. Because I don't know how much longer I'm going for this. I don't know how much more I've got left in me. So Woods, please, if there's any part of my brother still left in there, come on. You know, me and Kof, we can go to Korea, we can watch you be world champion again. Let's do it. New Day to New Day. And Big E, like, offers a hug out to Woods. And then as he goes to close it on Woods, Woods sort of, like, puts his arm out. And he goes, E, because you're my brother, I'm going to give you one last chance. In fact, I'm not even going to give you the dignity. You need to get on your knees, look up to the sky, and thank God that Xavier Woods is trying to give you the last ride of your career. Kofi, you know, he comes out at this point, and he goes, hey man, what you doing? Guys, what's all this, okay? Airing all this stuff in public. We don't need to be doing this, okay? This is New Day. We don't do this. We don't argue with each other. He goes, Kof, we're beyond this now. There's only one way where this needs to be settled. E, thank God for me. Big E, he's on his knees. He looks like he's about to look up and do it, and then Sami Zayn comes out. He goes, E, come on, man. You know, after all these years, you've been one of the bright sparks backstage in WWE. There's not a single person back there with a bad word to say about Big E. And to me, I know this may not hit as hard as it does coming from one of your brothers in the New Day, but to me, that's your legacy, E. And to me, your legacy isn't being a member of the New Day. Your legacy is not even being a former Royal Rumble winner or a World Heavyweight Champion. Your legacy is being one of the best damn guys I've ever met in this industry. And you are real, E. You are a real good man. So you can see through what Xavier's trying to get you to do now. He's trying to get you to kill your legacy. E, don't do it. I know it's gonna be hard, E. But sooner or later, take it from me, who's had my best friend turn on me countless times. Things in this industry don't last forever. But you, E, and the way you make people feel and all the memories people have of you, the way you are, they will last forever. And this goes for Kofi too. When the day comes with that Kofi has to be treated the way that he's being treated now, I expect you to man up and tell him no as well. Which goes, Sammy, get out of here. This is New Day business. This is family business. Just because you ain't got a family anymore doesn't mean you can come out here and try and ruin mine, okay? Here's what you're gonna do, Sammy. You're gonna walk to the back like a good boy, sit there and watch me handle my business, and at King of the Ring, you're gonna be thanking God that you did. Because maybe then I'll go a bit easy on you, but if you keep getting involved in my business, I'm not going to. So are you threatening me? Fine, okay? Let's do this right here, right now. And Woods goes, fine by me. He throws a punch at Sammy. Him and Sammy start brawling. You know, they start fighting around the ring. And Xavier Woods, you know, he goes down. Blue Thunder Bomb to Xavier Woods. He backs into the corner. Sammy gets all fired up. He runs for the haluva kick when Kofi and Big E just get in the middle. He goes, no, stop. He goes, what you guys doing? Okay? He deserves this. He needs this. And then Kofi's like, I can't let you do it. I can't let you do it, Sammy. And then Sammy's just confused. He's like, what the fuck? Then Xavier Woods, he's got brass knuckles on. He brass knuckles Sammy in the face. And he picks up the world championship. He demands Kofi and Big E raise one of his arms each. And they reluctantly do so. So, yeah, Xavier Woods with the one-up on Sami Zayn here tonight. Then see the Usos, you know, in the concessions doing their entrance shit. Jey Uso screaming at the camera going, please, please, hit my music. Yeah. And then they turn around and the Mercy Machine Guns are there. And they go, Jimmy, Jay, it's been a long time. You know, ever since we came to WWE, we've been wanting this match. I've heard so much about the Usos and how you've been the greatest tag team of the past 15 years. So we're rooting for you tonight. So maybe after you become tag team champions tonight, we can finally do this match, Motor City Machine Guns against the Usos for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And Jay goes, oh yeah, we respect you too, Oos. But tonight, it ain't about respect, Oos. It's about those championships. Yay. And the Usos come out for the championship match, coming up next against the Lucha Bros. Oh my god, 99. Holy shit. This should have main evented, but, you know, storyline. Jimmy and Jay against Ray Phoenix and Penta. Sort of goes south when the Guns come out and, like, just observe at ringside. And this distracts Big Jim. And Big Jim is nailed with the Penta driver in 16-23 to make defense number 1 of the WWE Tag Team Championships. 99 for Jimmy, 92 for Jay, 85 for Phoenix, 86 for Penta. And yeah, the Lucha Bros, I believe this is the first match between the Lucha Bros and the Usos. And they do retain the Tag Team Championships here tonight. And then after the match, of course, the Guns, they do get in the ring and they start apologizing, going, hey, we didn't mean that, we didn't mean that. And of course, Jay is a hothead, so he's going, what you doing, Oos? Huh? Gonna mind our business, Oos, huh? And Jimmy's got to try and calm him down. And even though Jimmy was the one who technically got distracted, but, you know, Jay is the hothead Uso, you know. So he's the one who's going to try and get in the face, like, get in his mouth. Like going, wanna fight me, Uso, yeet. But yeah, tensions here between these two teams as well. Crazy. Then see a backstage interaction. Not backstage, backstage interview. Kayla Braxton's with Nova Nebula. Okay, goes, Nova, last week you kicked off your Queen of the Ring tournament in style of another victory. That's time over Mackie to advance to the next round where you will face either Shayna Baszler or JC Jane on your path to what could be your second consecutive Queen of the Ring victory. And Nova goes, yep. Queen Nova back at it again, okay? I guess you can say this is my tournament. But there's some tough competition on both ends of this draw. But I'm going to be the one who's left standing, Kayla. They told me last year that I couldn't do it because EO and Charlotte were in my way, and I beat them both. They told me that this year I wouldn't do it. Well, just go ahead and watch me do it. Because that's what I do best, and when I get an opportunity to become champion, Candice, me and you, we had a little agreement a couple of months ago. But I'm going to stab you in the back and in the front if it means getting my hands on that championship that I deserve. That's when Cammy and the Megasis walk in. There he goes. Cute little speech, Cosmic Queen. But let's make one thing clear. Last year, you won Queen of the Ring because we had a weak link. They gave Queendom a spot, and I was foolish enough to give it to a woman who I knew we were going to kick to the curb. This year, the Megasis is in Queen of the Ring. One of the few women on this roster who towers over even you. Now, don't worry, she's got Jordan Grace next week. But once she beats Jordan Grace, And if you can get past whoever you've got to get past, we'll see you in the SmackDown final. And we can kill your back-to-back Queen of the Ring dreams once and for all. And of course, I look forward to it. Then get back to the ring. Out comes AJ Styles. And she goes, listen, I wasn't supposed to be out here tonight. But, after the results of the events of last week, I feel like I have to be. Because last week in the King of the Ring tournament, I advanced over a very game young man named Ricky Saints. But that's not the entirety that I want to talk about, because I also kept an eye on Neville's match. You know, that bastard. And I was happy to see that Neville lost in King of the Ring last week. For two reasons. One, because it made me smile seeing Neville lose. And two, because I knew what it meant for next week. I knew that it meant for the first time in WWE, the phenomenal AJ Styles will go one-on-one with the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada. Now, myself and Okada, we have some great history in Japan, but I never thought there'd be a day where we have to do this in a WWE ring on SmackDown to find out who'd be king of the ring. So, Okada-san, come on out here. Out comes Kazu, suit on, belt over his shoulder. And he gets into the ring. And he goes, AJ, you and I, been through hell. Next week, I can't wait to do it again. Okada offers his hand out to AJ Styles. AJ accepts it. They shake hands. A battle of respect next week between these two legends. First time ever in WWE. And then they're jumped by Neville and Ricky Saints. Ricky probably grabs Okada because I know he lost to AJ. But Neville is the one beating up AJ. So, yeah. He grabs Okada. He lays him out with a Rochambeau. Neville lays out AJ Styles, knocks him in the Brutalizer. They leave them laying. The IC title is just left laying on the floor. Both men look down at it and sort of just shrug their shoulders and leave the ring. But yeah, Neville and Ricky Saints getting one up on these two here tonight ahead of their big match next week. 70-rated tag match. Pretty Deadly against Chase U. Chase U do pick up the win. Keith Lee puts down Elton Prince for Power Slam in 7 minutes and 6. 70 for Elton Prince, 72 for Kit Wilson, 77 for Andre Chase, 74 for Keith Lee. Kit Wilson has a gimmick that's getting stale. Well, isn't that convenient? But yes, Chase U do put down Pretty Deadly here tonight. Most importantly, Andre Chase and Keith Lee put down Elton Prince, specifically. And after the match, Kit Wilson gets into the ring, he looks down at Elton Prince, and Elton is in pain. And, he goes, Kit, I'm not feeling too good. And, Kit Wilson's like, it's okay, Eddie, I've got you. He helps him to the back. He goes, we need a doctor. We need an ambulance. And Nick Aldis is there, he gets the ambulance. The doctor sort of help Elton Prince into an ambulance. And Kit Wilson's holding Elton Prince's hand as he gets put into the ambulance. He goes, Kit, I don't know when I'm going to be back. But promise me you'll hold this place down in my absence. And he goes, yes, I do. I will. I promise you I will. And then Elton Prince is driven away in the ambulance. And we see a sad Kit Wilson. Angry. Because there's one word to describe what Chase U are right now. Let's be real. Then see Ciampa. He's sitting on the chair backstage and goes, 2 weeks ago, Johnny, I came to SmackDown to wake you up. And I don't want to waste my entire time on this brand chasing old glory, okay? Because I've got new aspirations. I've got championships I need to win. But I'd be damned if my ears didn't perk up earlier on tonight because you see Javon Evans. He needs a partner next week to take you out, Johnny. And that's an opportunity that I can't turn down. So Javon, kid, allow me, as somebody who knows a thing or two about beating up Johnny Gargano, to help you beat up Johnny Gargano next week. So yeah, Ciampa offering his services out to Javon. So it'll be Javon Evans and Tommaso Ciampa against Johnny Gargano, and if he can find a partner next week. 83. Holy shit. Let's go, Demon. JC Jane does come up short, though, sadly. Shayna Baszler puts her down with the Kirifuda clutch in 11-18. 81 for Shayna, 71 for JC. So yeah, Shayna Baszler advances. So we now have 4 big hoss fight women in the SmackDown side. There's a lot of brawling and fighting going on this side because it's Shayna Baszler against Nova and it's Jordan Grace against the Megasis. One of those 4 women will be SmackDown's finalist, and we're going to find out the 2 semi-finalists next week when Shayna faces Nova and Megasis faces Jordan. But yeah, JC Jane comes up short again. 83 rated match though. She does get carried to a good little match here. I say carried. I say because it's 81 and 71, but in IRL, JC's demon, so she'd be able to get this by herself. Then see Biggie and Kofi backstage. And yeah, they sort of, Xavier Woods goes into his locker room, and then Biggie and Kofi just sort of just stand around outside. And Kofi goes, look, man, I know. I felt disrespected by him too last week, and I appreciate you putting your neck out on the line for me. But maybe he's right. Maybe I am washed up. Maybe I am a has-been. Maybe we do need to redirect to find success as the new day, especially if you don't know how much longer you got going on. And he goes, Kofi, I need you to snap out of this. You're Kofi goddamn Kingston. Kofi Mania, that was you. You didn't need to change to be Kofi Mania. In fact, they were telling you all to change. Everybody was telling you to change who you were, and you didn't, and you became WWE Champion, Kof. I didn't need to change who I was. They were all telling me for years I needed to turn on you and Woods and become a bad guy and a monster. I didn't do any of that. I stayed true to who I am, and I won the Royal Rumble. I won the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 2. Woods himself. They told him he'd never be a main event star. They're telling him he would never be a singles champion. What did he do? He stuck true to his word, won his childhood dream, became King of the Ring, became World Heavyweight Champion. Don't talk to me about us needing to change. We need to wake Woods up, not the other way round. And Biggie storms off, and Kofi now again conflicted. His 2 dads are going through a divorce, and despite him being the oldest member, obviously. They get a quick video package. J-Flow are in Korea already. You know, they're doing advertising for Evolution. You know, they're singing. I mean, they're J-pop and it's K-pop, but there's, you know, it's all pop at the end of the day. And there's probably some, you know, shenanigans ensuing about Harley getting the 2 mixed up and whatever, and J-Flow going on a tour in Korea, spreading the word of J-Flow in South Korea ahead of Evolution, which is coming up next Sunday. 89. Swerve Scott sustained a family death, and the finish was changed on the fly. Sure. That's not what I expected. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I can just roll with Andrade, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. I was thinking because he got Randy. Yeah, it's fine. So I guess it's Andrade against Swerve. No, against Randy next week, because they changed the finish on the fly because Swerve sustained a family death during the match. Both men score 95s, though. But yes, Andrade, I guess, he's just got Swerve's number. He was supposed to get his lick back here tonight, but alas, Andrade scores the win and will advance to next week, where he'll face Randy Orton in the King of the Ring semi-final on the SmackDown side. So it's Orton and Andrade, it's Okada and AJ. And then, yeah. I don't know how long Family Death will keep Swerve out for. I can't imagine too long. I imagine it'll probably be a week or 2. But, yeah. What a fucking stupid injury to sustain during a match. Next week, we do have our next King and Queen of the Ring tournament matches on the Go Home show to Evolution and King of the Ring. The first being, for the first time ever in WWE, a dream match. AJ Styles, Kazuchika Okada, the Intercontinental Champion, will go one-on-one in a King of the Ring SmackDown semi-final. And in the other SmackDown semi-final of King of the Ring, it says Randy Orton versus Swerve here, but I guess it's not. It's now Randy Orton against Andrade Cien Almas next week on SmackDown, after Andrade's accidental victory over Swerve earlier on tonight. Plus, on the Queen of the Ring side, it's Nova Nebula, and she's got a fight on her hands as she takes on Shayna Baszler. Shayna defeating JC Jane earlier on tonight. And the Megasis against Jordan Grace, 2 more hosses in the SmackDown Women's division going at it on the other SmackDown Women's semi-final. Plus, a tag team match. Javon Evans will team with Tommaso Ciampa to face off against Johnny Gargano and a partner if he can find one. And speaking of Javon Evans and Johnny Gargano, that brings me to the one match we've got set now for King of the Ring this week. It will be a Cruiserweight World Championship match on a PLE. Johnny Gargano will defend the Cruiserweight World Championship against Javon Evans at King of the Ring. Then come backstage, Kairi and Io in the locker room. Kairi's getting ready, she's putting her jacket on, she's putting her little eye patch on or whatever. And Kairi goes, Io. And Io looks and she goes, I need to do this by myself. I need to prove that championship belongs to me. That I deserve the championship. And Io sort of nods and goes, huh? Yeah, sure. Okay. So yeah, Kairi going in alone up next against Ember Moon. 82. Again, not as good as either of the King of the Ring matches, but I wanted this to be the main event because, this is the main story on SmackDown right now. Kairi and Ember, 13:42, Liberty Championship on the line. And, Ember Moon is aggressive in this, This is shades of, on that one time when Athena was on AEW Dark and she fucking beat the fuck out of that job girl and everybody, crashed out over it for a week or whatever it was. She's wrestling like that in this match. She's got a mission to sort of take out Kairi. And Candice isn't with Ember to start with. Ember Moon is there by herself. It's just the two of them going at it. And then eventually, Kairi does start mounting a comeback. She hits a big back fist. Another one. She cuts Ember Moon off with a big spear. And she gets all fired up. She goes to the top rope. She goes to hit the insane elbow. And she sees Candice just sort of appear at ringside. And that sort of distracts her for a little bit. Ember jumps up and hits Kairi off the top rope. Then Ember herself, she starts mounting the comeback. She knocks Kairi down. Goes up top to hit the Eclipse. She flies off. Kairi counters it into another move of her own. And then she lays out Ember Moon again. Climbs back up top. This time nails the insane elbow. 1, 2. And then Candice grabs Ember's foot and puts it on the bottom rope. And it's like, hey, foot. And the referee spots it. And he's like, hey, yeah, foot on the ropes. And the match continues on. Kairi, this time cut off again because, as she bounces off the ropes, hit another spear. Candice, trips her up or whatever. Doing bullshit on the outside of the ring. And Kairi, to suddenly get frustrated, she grabs Candice on the outside of the ring. As Ember's she's up top going to hit the Eclipse. And then as Kairi gets to her feet, she sees Candice on the outside and she sort of just grabs her through the rope and starts grabbing her. And then Candice smacks back. She smacks Kairi in the face with the belt. And it ends in DQ. Ember, you can see, is very frustrated at that. Because she was literally about to win the match. But Candice got a bit carried away and smacked Kairi in the face with the belt. And got disqualified. So Kairi is still the Women's Liberty Champion for now, officially. 81 for Kairi, 74 for Ember Moon. After the match, Ember gets down, she does get into the face of Candice. She's like, what the fuck you doing? And then Candice trust me. It's all good. Kairi starts getting to her feet. Candice smacks the belt off the skull of Kairi Sane again. And, Candice picks her up. Ember Moon goes up top to hit the Eclipse. Io rushes out. She shoves Ember off the top rope. Ember crashes to the outside. Io, hits a big springboard dropkick on Candice. Candice staggers back. Kairi then hits a big back fist on Candice, she staggers against the ropes. Kyrie cuts her off with a big spear. And she goes up top. She's going to go hit the over the moonsault. And, Candice staggers to the outside. And she grabs the microphone. She goes, great. I knew I could do this to you. I knew I'd get you out here eventually. Because you just can't help yourself, Io. You have to play the hero. Well, if you're going to be so heroic, how about you sign off on your friend's demise? How about you find yourself responsible for your best friend hitting rock bottom once again? Because, Io, I propose to you, should you accept, a tag team match 9 days from tonight in Seoul at Evolution. Myself and my Women's Liberty Champion, Ember Moon, who will be officially anointed in Korea, against you two, your pretend Women's Liberty Champion and a phony former Women's World Champion. Winner take all. And then Io's like off mic going like, yeah, come on, bring it on, bitch. So yeah, it's official. At Evolution, a tag team match. Kairi Sane and IYO SKY against Candice LeRae and Ember Moon. Winner take all. Women's World Championship obviously on one side. Liberty Championship on the other side. So there will be a new champion crowned in Korea. We just don't know which one it will be. Will IYO get back her Women's World Championship? Or will Ember Moon officially be anointed the Liberty Champion? 85-8 show. Yeah, we'll take that, especially because the main event was, I guess, weaker than the King of the Ring matches. Might more what you thought of the show. Do know if you want the comments below, and I'll see you on the other side for a very interesting Velocity this week. We kick off Velocity with RJ City in the ring. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a historic day for Velocity. Tonight we usher in a brand new era of Velocity. Tonight, you, the loyal fans of the greatest show in WWE, get to experience something magical. Something magnificent. Something that's about to change WWE and Velocity forever. Now I have either fortunately or unfortunately been tasked as the man to introduce this to the WWE universe. But I'm sure it won't disappoint. Ladies and gentlemen, that's when Gargano interrupts. And he goes, RJ, first of all, I don't know what you're talking about right here and right now about a new era here at Velocity, because last time I checked, I'm still the Cruiserweight Champion. But I don't know what this is that you got planned to introduce tonight, but coming up next, but it's gonna have to wait, I'm afraid, because your champ has more important business he needs to address with you. He goes, hello, Johnny, good night, how are you? And he goes, how am I? I'm miffed, RJ City, that's how I am, because I just was on SmackDown just now, and I spoke to Adam Pearce, the SmackDown general manager, who tells me that Javon Evans wants to wrestle me on SmackDown because he's too scared of Velocity because you can't control your goddamn show. And he goes, well, when you get down to it, I guess that is technically what happened. But with Dark State's constant interferences in Javon's matches and your championship matches and everything else, I felt it was best to let Javon wrestle on SmackDown where Dark State won't be a problem for him. And at King of the Ring, where Dark State won't be a problem for him. Is there a problem with that, Johnny? And he goes, no, there's no problem with it. I'm going to beat Javon wherever it is. I'm just saying that I think you need to do a better job of running your show, because this whole thing around here, the inmates running the asylum, and it's terribly run. And quite frankly, RJ City, this show feels cursed. And RJ goes, pardon? He goes, you heard me. And RJ goes, wow, it's very funny that you should mention that, Johnny. Because I'm here to introduce the newest member of the Velocity roster. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Danhausen. Out comes Danhausen. He gets into the ring. He shakes hands with RJ City. And Danhausen gets in and goes, hi, Mr. RJ City, yes. Hello! Hello, Velocity Hausen. It is I, Danhausen, and I have come to wrestle your human cruiserweights here on Friday nights. Because this is now Danhausen's show. And Mr. RJ City, he offered Danhausen a lot of human monies to be here and really bring eyes to this brand. Now, I do have a lot of list of things I need to accomplish here on Velocity and things I need to get out of the way. And Johnny goes, hey! Who the hell is this? And he goes, oh, Mr. Candice LeRae. Hey, it's me, Danhausen. He goes, hey, don't you call me that. I'm Johnny Gargano, Johnny freaking Wrestling, the Cruiserweight Champion. He goes, huh, Johnny Wrestling. Your surname's Wrestling, and you do wrestling. That's very convenient. You know, it's like a name that Danhausen would give a human wrestler. But, Johnny, you want to disrespect Danhausen like that? I would disrespect you every single day. You're like a nerd, okay? Playing dress up on my show, okay? This is your big new signing, are you? This is the guy who's going to usher in the new era of my show. The show that I reign supreme on. As well, if you're going to keep disrespecting Danhausen, you know what's going to happen, Johnny Wrestling? You are cursed. Johnny goes, what? What does that? He cursed. What does that mean, RJ City? And then you see Danhausen just run away back up the ramp. He goes, but what does that mean? And she goes, I don't know. You're cursed, Johnny. He goes, hey, don't you walk away from me. What the hell does that, what's going to happen to me? Okay? What sort of powers does that goof have to curse me? And then as he's like storming up the ramp, we get the video of the dragon that aired last week. And this time we see it on the Titantron. And like, Johnny sees it as he leaves. He like sort of stops up the ramp and looks at the dragon video that airs on the Titantron. Johnny just shakes his head. He goes, hey, dragons and vampires here. What the hell's going on here? And he storms to the pack. 6-8 red match. Oromensa defeats Uriah Connors in 8 minutes and 30 with an instant kill. 74 for Oromensa, 44 for Uriah Connors. So yeah, nice little win for Oromensa here on Velocity. He's not really doing much on SmackDown at the minute, so yeah, I thought I'd put him on here. 76 red 6-man tag. Dark State, the Trios champions, defeat the trio of JJ Gale, Torito Negro, and Titus Alexander. Hanzo pinning Titus with a 450 and 1342. 74 for Leslie Young, 86 for Hanzo, 79 for RKJ, 44 for Titus, 71 for Torito Negro, and a 49 for JJ Gale. And then after the match, Shaquan Sugar takes the mic and he goes, well. Isn't that funny? Little Javon Evans, my old friend Javon, finally grew some balls. He finally realized that what he was doing here with his little friends and him weren't working. He wasn't going to take Dark State down like that. So he ran away. Javon ran away to SmackDown to wrestle Johnny Gargano for the Cruiserweight Championship. Well, that's fine. Because if you win that match, Javon, you can't run forever. You can only run so far. Because Dark State will always be here waiting for you. Because if you're the Cruiserweight Champion, you gotta show up to Velocity eventually. But I didn't take you for a bitch, Javon. After all these years, I thought I knew you. It turns out I didn't know you at all. Because I actually had a begrudging respect for you. But turns out you're a bitch-ass coward. But I'll see you soon. Whether you're the champion or not, next time you show up on Velocity, I'll see you soon. As for these Trios Championships, those little friends of yours called us out last week. I need you to sit down with them and ask them if this is what they really want. Because if you ain't here, Dark State's going to outnumber them and beat their asses too. Nobody is safe. Not even you up there on SmackDown, Javon and Johnny Gargano, the Cruiserweight Champion. See you around too, King. 85 rated main event. Just an exhibition match between two Cruiserweight guys. Dante Rios and Angel Garza. Dante picks up the win in 17-16. 76 for Dante, 92 for Garza. Garza's scoring really well. He's never somebody that I have anything for right now. So yeah. That does end the show, which gets us to 78. Final Velocity. Danhausen is here. And he's cursed Johnny Gargano. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I will see you next time for Raw, where we will be the go-home show for K-Pop Demon Hunters Presents Evolution and for King of the Ring, including these semi-finals of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments from Raw. We've only one semi-final because John Cena got a bye into the Raw final. So yeah, it's going to be Gunther and CM Punk. And then it's going to be Lyra and Charlotte and Alexa and Jade. Yeah. See you then.